Poppins!
It's nice to see you, Bert.
Well, I must say, you do look swell.
A costume designer has the challenge of creating the look for a stage full of diverse and colorful characters. And in a show like Mary Poppins, which takes place in a specific era, the costumes must also establish the time and location of our story. Now, to achieve this, the producers turned to acclaimed designer Bob Crowley, whose work for both Disney and Cameron Mackintosh have earned him a host of international awards. Let's see how he tackled the challenge.
Perhaps one of the elements of theater design that is most misunderstood is the role of costumes. In this show, they tell you a lot of things. You know the time period you're in. You know it's just after the turn of the century because you see the frock coats, you see the ladies in big hats, you see what the children wear.
People of that time, people in 1910, were so defined, so much more so than today, by their class. And the greatest example of people's class at that point was how they dressed.
You see a juxtaposition of two different eras. You see people who hold on to the older Victorian era, and then there are people who are firmly in the Edwardian period. So you see that battle of old school versus new school and old ways versus new ways.
The idea of those clothes is communicating that to you. But it's also helping you to know when someone extraordinary comes. Mary Poppins wears colors that no one else wears.
Mary wears a uniform, a nanny's uniform. It's very smart. It's a suit. It's a high-necked blouse with a long skirt and smart boots. She wears shoes of the sensible kind.
Yet she's able to dance and be lifted and pull mirrors out of her bag while being in a wool coat, corseted, collared, and boots.
It just kind of creates a physicality that's very graceful and very precise at moments and fun in others.
The colours, you know, for Mary, I mean, they're very, very specific, the colours, and they're quite sharp. There's nothing muddy about what Mary wears. Even if it's black, there's a wonderful lining. And the great thing, what I love about Mary's character is she's quite vain. You know, she thinks quite a lot about herself, not in a horrid way, but she just knows she's practically perfect.
As well as telling us where and when the piece is taking place, Bob Crowley's costumes also help to show the audience how the characters change over the course of the story, and highlights the differences between them.
When you see two characters on stage, such as Mary and Miss Andrew, you can see the difference in the two of them just from the clothes they're wearing.
It really is two different sides of how you look at the world, in how you would raise children. I have an incredible black cape that has amazing beading on it, and along with the wig that has the classic gray stripes in it, I have a hat that sort of looks like I have bat ears. So as I come on stage, it's just this very long, tall, looming thing in black, which was, again, very Victorian.
These clothes also are narrative, even when you see the Bird Woman. This old woman who survives by selling breadcrumbs in bags for people to feed to pigeons. She's so tattered, but she's actually wearing the clothes of a once elegant woman. She's not just a lady wearing a bundle of rags, as Jane says. She's actually a lady in a very fine dress that's now been lost to time.
Along with showing the reality of life in the Edwardian era, the costumes have to create a collection of fantasy characters, presenting a completely different challenge to the show's designers.
This is what's known as the Starlighters, and they appear at the very end of the show. And these are all stretch cotton velvet, and all of these are custom made for each individual actor. All of the stars are sewn on by hand. This is Q. She plays Mrs. Corey. All of these panels down the front are individually cut. We even have these large platters going down the back, which keeps the silhouette of the Victorian and Edwardian era. But in this case, the designer has chosen to make them shelves of tarts.
Well, these are the Corey wigs. This is Mrs. Corey, which is the mother. These are her daughters, Fanny and Annie. And these are all made out of yak, and it's like a dyed yak with a root, dark root with a light orange base, and it kind of blends in and sort of tops off the cherry and top the cake.
This is one of our statues. These are hand painted, so the marbling is specific to each person. And they will actually do makeup that fills in their face and blends with the unitard, so that we get the visual from stage of it looking seamless.
Designing all the costumes and wigs for a show of this size is one thing, but maintaining them throughout the life of the production is another.
There's about 80-something wigs in a show and about 50-something daily are worn 8 shows a week.
Job one is to preserve what Bob's original vision was, and all the while keeping the show fresh and brand new. And that includes bringing new people in, making new clothes, altering clothes, all the way down to 7 loads of laundry every day.